الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. This class we are getting to the fara'id of wudu and the sunan and the fada'il. So the obligatory actions of wudu, the sunan and the recommended actions. فرائض الوضوء 7 النية وغسل الوجه وغسل اليدين إلى المرفقين ومسح الرأس وغسل الرجلين إلى الكعبين والدلك والفور. The obligatory actions of wudu are 7. The first one is intention, niyyah. The intention here has to be رفع الحدث. It has to be removing hadath. So we have, last time we said there are 2 types of tahara. Taharatu hadath wa taharatu khabath. An impurity that is physical and on you, and that is removed by removing the impurity. If I have a physical impurity on me, I don't remove it by wudu, rather I remove it by using water to remove it. As for hadath, such as using the bathroom, such as sleeping, such as passing gas, these are ahdath. These require wudu. And so the intention when making wudu has to be removing the hadath. It cannot simply be the intention of tahara, because there are 2 types of tahara. So the intention has to specify which type of tahara is being done. As for pronouncing the intention, it is disliked in the madhab, and the recommended action is to not pronounce your intention as opposed to the Shafi'i school. وغسل الوجه. The second obligatory action is to wash the face. The face is defined by the hairline, where a hairline would regularly be, until the chin for someone who does not have a beard, and until the end of the beard for someone who does. As for the width, it is from the it is between the ear to the ear, but it also includes what is under the ear from the face. What is above the ear is not from the face. However, what is under the ear is from the face and must be washed. Now, when I say that the top of the head is where a regular hairline would be, this means that someone who either has male pattern baldness and his hairline is extremely, has receded a great amount, or someone who has a regular hairline, however, he has shaven clean, either for Hajj or for Umrah or for any other reason, he would not have a hairline technically. So where would he stop washing his face? And he would stop, if someone were to be bald, he would stop washing at where the hairline would be expected to be if he did have a hairline. Now, ما لا يتم الواجب إلا به فهو واجب. The legal maxim states that the thing that a wajib is not complete without is a wajib. If I were to wash 99% of my face up until just a tiny bit before my hairline, then I would not have technically washed my entire face, which is the obligatory action. And therefore, it is also wajib for someone who does have hair to touch and wash at least, the most minimum amount of hair that you can. So he does not stop just under the hairline. When he's washing his face, he must wash the entire face, and the way of confirming is by actually reaching the hair. As for the beard, the dominant position in the school is that one who does not have a thick beard, so one who does not have a thick beard, it is obligatory upon him to get the water to his skin underneath his hair. As for someone who has a thick beard, then it is not necessary for him to get the water to the skin. Rather, washing the beard itself is fulfills what is required. Now, what is the description of a full beard and a non-full beard? According to the madhab, the full beard or the thick beard is one that you cannot see the color of the skin underneath. So if you look at your beard and you can see black or brown or whatever color it is, and you cannot see the skin underneath, from a regular point of view. I'm not saying that someone is to comb his beard so that he can, try to see his skin on purpose. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about in a regular situation, would you be able to see the skin or not? If you are able to see the skin, then that is a thin beard and it must be washed till the skin. And if you cannot see the color of the skin, then that is a thick beard and washing the beard will suffice. وغسل اليدين إلى المرفقين. Washing the hands to the mirfaqain, or the elbows. There is a mistake. This is pretty straightforward, but there is one mistake that must be pointed towards. As we will get to later, one of the sunnah is to wash your hands up to the ku'ayn here before performing wudu. A lot of people will wash their hands up to here and then perform washing their face, and then they will get to their hands and they will start from where they left off. They will start from their wrist, their ku'ayn, and they will continue to their elbows, and they will not do their hands again. This does not fulfill what is obligatory upon him. The only instance in which this will count as having washed his entire arm is if he has the intention of this being included in the washing of the arm when he is washing his hands before wudu. However, it still remains recommended, and the original act is to wash your hands, wash your face, and then wash your arm again, the entire length. So after you've washed your hands, it is still obligatory upon you to wash from the elbow till the end of the hands. وَمَسْحُ الرَّأْسِ. Wiping the head. So mash is different from ghusl. Mash is wiping. Al-ghasl or ghusl is washing. So one does not have to have water in his hands when he is wiping over his head. Rather, if his hands are wet still from washing his face and his hands, then he simply wipes over his head. And his head is from where the regular hairline would be, and from the hairline from someone who does actually have a hairline, up until the back of the head. If you feel the back of your head, you can feel in the center almost like a hole or a place between two long hard things. This is the end of the head. What is also included is the hair above the ears. So one, when wiping his head, must include from the beginning of his hairline and the hair above his ears up until the back. And this is the exact form that our Sheikh Naif taught us how to make wudu with, by placing our thumbs above our ears or just in front of our ears, connecting our pointer fingers and putting them together and washing or wiping your head from the front to the back in one go. وغسل الرجلين إلى الكعبين, and washing the feet until the ankles. So the ankles are included in the feet. والدلك والفور. So the last two obligatory actions. First one is الدلك, or to massage or rub. In the Maliki madhab, it is not enough for you to put your hand under water. It is not enough for the water to reach the entire length of your arm. That does not count as washing your arm. Rather, you must use the inside of your palm, not the outside. The outside is also not enough. You must use the inside of your hand and wipe over these places that you are washing or wiping. So the back of the hand does not suffice. If I am to wash my hand with the back of my other hand, that does not count as washing, and he has not fulfilled what is needed from him. Similarly, if I am washing my feet and I use my right foot to rub on my left foot, that does not count and does not suffice, and he must repeat it using the inside of his hand. والفور. So doing it in a sequence, a time sequence. So I cannot wash my face and then wash my legs 2 hours later. They must all be done during the same time, if you are able to and if you remember. If you're not able to and you don't remember, we're going to get to that later. If you are able to and if you remember to do it one after the other, then it is a condition of the wudu and a obligatory action. Now, what is the definition of al-fawr or al-muwala? What is the time frame in which you must do it? The time frame is defined by the regular amount of time it would take for your body part to dry from the water that is on it in a regular temperature in a regular location. Usually this is 10 to 15 minutes. So if I am to wipe or wash my arms, and then 7 minutes later I forgot my feet, I'm gonna wash my feet. I see, has my arm dried on its own in a regular temperature? If it has already dried, then it is too late, and we're gonna get to the conditions of the different situations later, whether he forgot or whether he did it on purpose. There's different scenarios. However, this does not count as doing it with muwala. It does not count as doing it in the same time period. So you must, if you remember and if you are able to, you must do it in a time period in which your body parts will not dry before you continue to the next one. Now, if I am to dry my body manually, if I am to, wash my arms and my face and do the sunan and everything except for my feet, and then I use a towel and I, dry my entire body, or at least the parts which wudu have been done on, and then 1 minute later I remember my feet. My body is dry. I've dried it with a towel. So can I still do my feet, or is it too late? No, it does not matter. What matters is not the fact that your body has dried or not. What matters is the time frame in which you are doing wudu, and the time frame is measured by how long it would take to dry in a regular location and in a regular temperature. And now the sunnah of wudu. What is the difference between a sunnah and a recommended action? According to many fuqaha outside of the madhab, they are the same thing. Something that is mandub and something that is mustahab and something that is a sunnah are all the same meaning. In the Maliki madhab, this is not the same thing. A sunnah is a higher level from a recommended action. A sunnah is between a recommended action and a wajib, obligatory action. And it is defined by, so first of all, let's define what a recommended action is. We said that a wajib is something that was asked by the legislator or requested by the legislator with insistence, and that someone who does it is rewarded, and that someone who leaves it is punished. A recommended action is something that is asked for or requested by the legislator without insistence, and the one who does it is rewarded, and the one who leaves it is not punished. A sunnah is like a recommended action, except there is an additional condition. A sunnah is an action that was asked by the legislator without insistence. The one who does it is rewarded, and the one who leaves it is punished. Or sorry, the one who leaves it is not punished. And the Prophet ﷺ did it constantly and requested it. A sunnah is usually, generally speaking, if you look at the sunnah are usually done by the Prophet ﷺ throughout his entire life, except for 1 or 2 instances. And he leaves it in these 1 or 2 instances simply for the purpose of showing that it is not obligatory. However, it is requested much more than a recommended action, and many of the fuqaha of the Malikiyya even went to the length of saying that it is permissible to reprimand someone who leaves a sunnah, even though it's it's not obligatory. It's almost a recommended action, but not quite. it is for someone who leaves a recommended action, I cannot reprimand him. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing sinful about leaving a recommended action. However, leaving a sunnah is much bigger, and leaving a sunnah is it's closer to leaving an obligatory action because the Prophet ﷺ did it constantly and requested it from his followers, Sahaba, constantly. غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين. So the first sunnah, غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين, washing the hands to the كوعين. If you ask the average Arab on the street, what is a ku'a? Ask him, show me where your ku'a is. He's going to say it's here. In modern Arabic, the ku'a is the elbow. So a lot of people who read this, untrained in the Arabic language and without a teacher, they get confused. Because we just said that washing to the marafiq, the elbows, is wajib. So how is he saying it's a sunnah now? In the Arabic language, the proper Arabic language, the ku'a is the bone on your wrist that is the side of your thumb. This is the ku'a, and this is the bu'a. So the sunnah is to wash your hands till the ku'ain. So the ku'ain meaning on both of your hands. Now, there is technically many different scenarios about when washing your hands is a sunnah and when it is not. Or washing your hands before placing it in the ina is a sunnah or whether it's not. So back in the day, they did not have, running water, they did not have sinks very commonly. They did have running water, usually in the form of rivers and stuff, not in the form of sinks as we now have access to, in almost every home. So this is something we're going to get into in an advanced text. There's different scenarios. However, for our sakes, for a beginner's sake, we're going to say that غسل اليدين is a sunnah in all cases. Washing your hands to the ku'ain is a sunnah in all cases. And when is it done? عند الشروع. So it is started, when the wudu is started, this is when you wash your hands to the ku'ain. So before doing any of your fara'id, before washing your face, before washing your arms and wiping your head and washing your feet, before doing any of these four, you wash your hands until the ku'ain. والمضمضة والاستنشاق والاستنثار. والمضمضة is rinsing your mouth. Rinsing your mouth is not fulfilled unless you are rinsing your mouth. Putting water in your mouth and then spitting it out is not rinsing. Rinsing is actually moving the water in your mouth. It is also part of the sunnah to actually, release that water. Rinsing the water in your mouth and then drinking it does also not fulfill the sunnah. والاستنشاق والاستنثار. So, putting water into your nose, putting water, in your hand, putting it next to your nose and breathing it in. That's istinshaq. Istinthar is letting it out. And the way it is done is by using your left thumb and your left pointer finger and using it to blow out of your nose. Istinshaq and istinthar, letting it in and breathing it in and then letting it out using your fingers. ورد مسح الرأس ومسح الأذنين وتجديد الماء لهما. So, رد مسح الرأس, repeating the wiping of your head. This is only a sunnah if there is still water left on your hand, you wipe your head a second time. This is done for the purpose of not wasting the water. If your hand is not still wet and there's no water on your hand anymore, it is not a sunnah to repeat wiping it. So if someone's hand is no longer wet, it is not asked of him, and it is not even recommended, or it's not anything for him to wet his hand again just to repeat wiping his head. And wiping the ears and renewing the water for them. So wiping the ears means wiping the inside of the ears and the outside of the ears. And the inside includes, deep into your ear. Everything inside your ear, this is called wiping the ear. And renewing the water for it. So this is done after wiping the head. According to some other fuqaha, wiping the ears can be considered part of the head or part of the face. And so they will use the same water that they wipe their head with, they will use it to wipe their ears. For us, it's a different sunnah entirely, and therefore it is recommended to use new water for your ears. It's a sunnah to use new water. وَالتَّرْتِيبُ بَيْنَ الْفَرَائِضِ. So the last sunnah he mentions here, and there's actually more sunnah, and there's more fada'il, there's more recommended actions and sunnah than is mentioned in this text. But we're gonna, because this is a beginner text, this is considered enough by al-Akhdari rahimahullah to get a worshipper started in knowing the sunnah and the ahkam of wudu. So the last main sunnah mentioned here, وَالتَّرْتِيبُ بَيْنَ الْفَرَائِضِ. Doing the fara'id in order. So the 4 fara'id, there's 7 fara'id, 4 of them are related to the body parts, and 3 of them are related to the methodology. So the 3 related to methodology are the sunnah and rubbing and massaging, and the third is doing it in a time frame that is short. The other 4, washing your face, washing your arms, wiping your head, and washing your feet. These are the 4 fara'id related to body parts, and it is a sunnah to do them in that order, because that is the order that is mentioned in the Quran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So because it is mentioned in that order, and because there are many hadith that show that the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ did it in that order, it is a sunnah to do it in that order. And if someone mixes up the order, we're gonna get to that in a bit. If someone, does his arms before his face, for example, we're gonna get to that. And he says, وَمَنْ نَسِيَ فَرْضًا مِنْ أَعْضَائِهِ فَإِنْ تَذَكَّرَهُ بِالْقُرْبِ فَعَلَهُ وَمَا بَعْدَهُ وَإِنْ طَالَ فَعَلَهُ وَحْدَهُ وَأَعَادَ مَا صَلَّى. So, if he forgets one of the 4 fara'id, if he forgets one of these body parts, if he remembers it very quickly, before his body has dried, still within the time frame, then he repeats it, and he repeats what is after it. So for example, we said that the face is the first fard. If I forget my face, and I do my arms, and wipe my head, and then my feet, and then I remember very quickly that I forgot my face, then it is a sunnah to do my face, and then do what came after it in the order that it's supposed to be. However, if I remember that I forgot to wash my face, for example, after an hour or 2 hours, then I only wash my face. If I remember after a long time, I only repeat what I have forgotten. And if I, for example, forget my feet, because the feet is the last of the fara'id, then I only do my feet. Even if I remember in a short time frame, in a long time frame, because it is the last one, I always only do my feet. And if I forget my face, I will repeat everything in a short time frame and only repeat the face in a long time frame. As for I gave you the 2 extremes, the beginning and the end, and then you can figure out the arms and the wiping the head. وَأَعَادَ مَا صَلَّى. So if he remembers that he forgot one of the fara'id, one of the 4 fara'id, one of these 4 body parts, if he remembers after he has prayed with this invalid wudu, he repeats what he has prayed. وَإِنْ تَرَكَ سُنَّةً فَعَلَهَا وَلَا يُعِيدُ الصَّلَاةِ. If he forgets a sunnah, he does it again, and he does not repeat the prayer. So even though we said the sunnah is close to an obligatory action, the one who leaves the sunnah, his wudu is valid in all cases, and he does not repeat the prayer if he prays with a wudu that did not contain the sunnah. وَمَنْ نَسِيَ وَنَسِيَ لُمْحَةً غَسَلَهَا وَحْدَهَا بِنِيَّةٍ وَإِنْ صَلَّى قَبْلَ ذَلِكَ أَعَادَ. ومن تذكر المضمضة والاستنشاق بعد أن شرع في الوجه فلا يرجع إليهما حتى يتم وضوءه. So whoever forgets part of a body part, he repeats it on its own with the intention of completing his wudu rather than renewing his wudu. So if I wash my entire arm, but right before the elbow, I forget the last 10% of my arm. And then later on, I remember that I did not wash my arm entirely. Then I washed that part on its own with the intention of completing my wudu rather than with the intention of doing wudu all over. And again, when صلى قبل ذلك أعاد, and if he remembers that he has prayed using this invalid wudu, he repeats what he has prayed. ومن تذكر المضمضة والاستنشاق. So whoever remembers after he has forgotten rinsing the mouth and the nose, whoever remembers this after he has started the face, he does not return to it. He does not return to it until he has finished the wudu. So even though al-istinshaq wal-istinthaq, rinsing the mouth and the nose, the recommended action is that is done before the face. If he has already started washing his face, then he only returns to al-istinshaq wal-istinthar wal-madmada after he has finished the rest of the wudu. وفضائله التسمية والسواك والزائد على الغسلة الأولى في الوجه واليدين. So the recommended actions, saying Bismillah before washing your arms, so before starting wudu, and siwak. Siwak in this context does not refer to the specific plant that the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum used. Rather, it refers to any method of cleaning the teeth, even if it is using your finger. And this is something that in the Maliki madhab is not recommended to be done in the mosque. Rather, it is disliked for someone to do siwak in the mosque. And this is something we see a lot in some masajid. People think it's a sunnah. People think that it is, because it's a sunnah, it is recommended to show it in front of the people in the masjid, in a place of worship. Rather, it's an act of cleanliness, and it should not be done in front of other people. The Prophet ﷺ did siwak almost every single prayer in the masjid in front of all the Sahaba. And there's not a single hadith that shows that he did siwak in the masjid. So it is not recommended, rather it is disliked for someone to do siwak in the masjid. Rather, this is done either somewhere private, whether it's a home or any other private place, do it after wudu. والزائد على الغسلة الأولى في الوجه واليدين. So this is one of the places in which al-Akhdari rahimahullah shows a ruling that is different from the dominant position of the Maliki madhab. So washing 3 times is recommended for the face and the arms, and this is what he mentioned. He does not mention the legs. According to the other view in the madhab, washing the legs is only done once. However, the dominant view in the madhab is that he washes his leg 3 times. And because we are almost out of time, I'm going to stop there, and we'll continue the fada'il in the beginning of next class, and we'll go into the nullifiers of wudu next class as well, inshallah. So I'm going to check if I know there's a lot of questions while I was speaking. During the wiping of the head, does a woman have to wipe to the end of the hairs? What if she has a bun? Yes. So, مسترسل من الشعر, whether it's a man or a woman, whatever is going down from the hair, it has to be wiped. If it's in a bun, the bun does not have to be undone. If the hair is done, I don't know the terms women use for all the different styles they have with their hair, but if it is done using a bun or using a rubber band or whatever, a clip or anything, that thing does not have to be removed unless that thing is so thick to the extent that it is considered something covering her hair. So someone wearing a I don't know what that thing the woman wear is, it's like a cloth that they tie over their head, while they're working. That is big enough for it to be considered something covering the hair. And so when you're wiping your head, it's not as if you're actually wiping your head, you're wiping that thing. So these clips, these bands, and these, all these things that they use to, do their hair, it has to be small enough that it is not considered a hat, something that covers. However, if it is smaller than that, you can wipe over it and the wiping is valid and the wudu is valid. So what if you dry your arm by towel? This was answered. What if you have an injury and you have a cast on your arm? There is an entire section for wiping over the cast. And the short answer is yes, you can wipe over your cast. However, there are many conditions. There's only specific types of casts that you can wipe over and some that you can't. And under the ruling of casts are stuff like, band-aids and any other medical thing that we use to cover your arm or other places that you do wudu with. There is a tafsil, there is a distinction to be made there, depending on the type of injury, depending on how much harm is going to happen from removing these casts and these band-aids. So we'll get to that and we'll get to that, but the short answer is yes. If it's obvious, if you have a very broken arm and you can't remove the cast, if it's something very obvious like that, then wipe over. If it's something that's not obvious, something you're wearing for a day or two, like a sprained wrist or something like that, then I can't answer you, and it will depend on. We will get to that in the distinctions and the details that we make later. What is the ruling on leather socks in the madhab? Again, this is also a subsection. The short answer is that in the Maliki madhab, it is only permissible to wipe on leather socks, not cotton socks or other socks. However, it is not all leather socks. Again, these khuffayn, these leather socks, they have conditions. Not any leather sock will do. So that is something we will get to, and we'll talk about the details about what we can wipe over and what we cannot. What if a woman is in public space and cannot undo her hijab? Would she have to do tayammum? Would she have to do tayammum? Could she undo her hijab? Or could she wipe over the hijab? She cannot wipe over the hijab in the Maliki madhab as opposed to the Hanbali madhab. The Hanbali madhab allows for women to wipe over their khimar and for men to wipe over their turbans, as opposed to the other three schools. Now, she cannot wipe over her hijab. What can she do? There is a extensive difference of opinion in the madhab regarding the one who has water, the one who is unable to make wudu and unable to do, or he's legally unable to make wudu, but he can make wudu using water. So we're gonna in the chapter of tayammum, we're gonna get to something called al-ajiz, the one who is unable to use water. We're gonna say that those are two categories: one who is unable to use water in a literal sense, and one who is unable to use water in a shar'i sense. Because al-ma'dum shar'an kal-ma'dum hissan. Something that is absent legally is something that is absent. It is like it is absent altogether. Ultimately, there are some fuqaha which would say she would do tayammum. However, there is other views in the madhab regarding this matter. So the short answer is it's a permissible action for her to do. Is it the dominant position? It would depending on, again, circumstances. MashaAllah, you guys are all asking questions that are usually answered in an intermediate texts. There's a lot of tafsil, there's a lot of distinctions that have to be made before you answer these types of things. Inshallah, we will get to it in the next few classes. Like, look forward to tackling them, inshallah. Okay. If anyone else has any more questions, I'll give you a few seconds, or you can turn on your microphone if you want. Okay. I don't think so. Nobody has any questions. I'll see you all in the next class. Jazakumullah khairan all for coming. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.